What's up, comic fans, and we're gonna get into this week's new comic book day haul. We got some books from the previous week too. Just picked up a few things, nothing too crazy, but we're gonna get into all these books right after this.
Spartans! What is your profession?
Welcome back. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, go ahead and throw me a thumbs up if you like the content, and then comment down below if you like the content, and go ahead and feel free to share it with some friends. Alright, so let's get into the books. These are some books from previous weeks. Nothing too crazy, like I said. Just picked up some stuff. Well, first off, we're going to start with Thor number 19. I had this, I just didn't get a chance to read it somehow. It ended up in my back issue bin, and I read it, and I think it's really cool. I still think Donny Cates is doing a really great job with Thor, and here Mjolnir has been stolen, and Thor has Throg trying to find it. He's also on track looking for it. He goes and finds Odin, his father, to go help him also search for it. Really interesting. Little gruesome scene in there. Check it out if you get a shot. Then we've got X-Men Legends. This is the adamantium foil variant. People went crazy over this book. I managed to snag it for 20% off cover. I don't know why. It's cool, don't get me wrong. It is pretty cool. I believe this is Kari Andrews who did this, and it says after Todd, Jim, and Rob. So Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, and Rob Liefeld. But it's the adamantium foil variant. There's no foil on it, by the way. No adamantium. But it's a pretty cool book. Alright, so then we also got Batman Fear State Omega. I never got this book to really finish Fear State. I mean, I was just reading Batman and Detective, but I got that just to kind of give it a little closure. And then I got to catch up on this, but the covers have been ridiculous by Dan Mora on Once and Future. So I picked that up. I love Dan Mora art. So I have this, like the whole run, 1 through issue 22. I just actually need to find time to read it. I think I'm on like issue 15 or 16. All right, so let's get into this week's books. First off, we got Star Wars High Republic number 12. I'm like on issue 10 of this, so I got a little catching up to do. But this is a Phil Noto cover, and I think it's pretty dope. So I've enjoyed those Star Wars, the High Republic. It's really good. It's a really good series set, in the past. So we get to see a lot of stuff happening there as I move this closer. All right, so next up we got Savage Avengers. This is number 27, Jerry Dugan. This ends their battle with Kulan Goth, right? So it took about 27 issues to get there, but I tell you what, I enjoyed every single one of those 27 issues. This wasn't like a current ASM run. I'm not going to drop names. He's been bashed enough. But, this, every single issue was enjoyable, amazing. At the end of it, we've got a Savage Avengers team set up. You've got Doom, you've got Doctor Strange, you've got Conan. Obviously, this is a good book for Conan if you want to be introduced to the character. He plays a really, front and center role here. Who else we got? We got the Black Knight, Wolverine, Magic. I'm just looking at the cover right now, but there are some characters in here who aren't really on the cover. Juggernaut was here, Kang the Conqueror. Who else appeared on this team? Daredevil. So those are some guys who appeared on the Savage Avengers team. So we will have the start of another arc with issue 28, if that book keeps going. I don't think I read anything about it being canceled, so we should be good. Issue 28. Check out Savage Avengers if you want to start a new story arc, or get the trades. Start that from the beginning. All right, next up we've got the Amazing Spider-Man, right? And this is issue number 81. This is not the first meetup, because I think these guys met in Spider-Geddon way back when. But we got Ben Reilly, Spider-Man, and you got Miles Morales, Spider-Man. But I believe this is the first time they've, threw some punches at each other. So this might possibly be the second time they've met. I don't know. But it's a pretty good, cool issue. You know, they team up to fight a baddie in this one, and they find out that baddie's part machine, so to speak, and you know, it's one of Miles' bad guys, main villains, I guess, who is the cause of it. And you know, they work together. And you know, Spider-Man now, Ben Reilly, he's part of that corporate Beyond, and he's supposed to, you know, tell Miles, you know, you gotta cease and desist, use another name like the Stinger or something, but he doesn't. You know, he's like, cool, Spider-Man, calls him Spider-Man, and you know, at the end of the comic, he's getting a little talking to. But overall, I enjoy the way it's going. That was written by Saladin Ahmed, who does Miles Morales Spider-Man. So who else are you gonna get to write the regular Spider-Man run when the ASM? When you're going to bring in Miles, go ahead and get the guy who writes Miles. So it's cool. They've been doing like these 2-issue villain of the week type things, or villain of the every other week type deal, because they've been pumping out Spider-Mans like crazy. All right, next up and last from Marvel, we've got the Hulk number 2. Okay, interesting. As I was reading, I went, huh? Which is the same thing I did with issue 1, huh? So it's interesting. Banner has turned the Hulk into like a starship, right? And the psyche of Banner is in control of the Hulk, and the other psyche, the Hulk psyche, is he's the engine. He's the engine room for this, right? The angrier he gets, the more power the Hulk starship has. All right, and they're on their way to like this alternate dimension to get away from everybody, because they don't, you know, Banner's like, you don't understand the power, you know, what I'll become. And you know, basically he's just tired of everybody just stopping what he does. So he's, you know, he's out of there. Let me get that out the way. Yeah, so you know, he's taken over the Hulk's body, and he's like, you know what, Hulk, we're heading to another dimension where we can do what we want to do. And at the end of that, we're introduced to another. If you read anything, you're gonna know there's a second Bruce Banner. Okay, so you know, we've got all these dimensions and stuff. So we're cool. You know, 2 of 1 character is not a crazy thing anymore these days. All right, next up we've got, and I didn't read this one yet. We got Gun Honey number 4. I gotta read number 3, but this is the FOC variant. There are 2 FOC variants. All right, so this is the FOC Copic variant. I don't know what that means, but it's definitely an FOC variant. So if you ordered this during final order cutoff, you got one of these. I think it's a pretty sexy cover. There's another one that's just all color, no trade. This has minimal trade, just Gun Honey and a little color splash, if you will. I went with this one because I just thought this one was doper. I don't know. So that's why I got that one. All right, from IDW, we got Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures. This is the annual. There's like 4 different stories in here. All right, Charles Soule wrote a story in here. It reads very Disney. Honestly, this is different than the other Star Wars High Republic from Marvel, right? So it does have that Disney feel. It does touch upon death, but it's not as graphic. The artwork is a little bit more safe, friendly for children. Still fun book. Lots of good messages in there. Okay, so if you're looking for a book with messages, that's a good one. If you're looking for a book that kids can read, that's a good book. All right, you know, all about believing in yourself, doing the right thing. You know, not knowing what the right thing to do is okay, because you got to learn. You know, nobody grows up knowing everything. So you know, there's messages in that book. Very good. Next up, from Boom Studios, we got Regarding the Matters of Oswald's Body. Okay, so you got this ragtag team of like 4 guys put together, well, guys and gals. They're looking for somebody who looks like Oswald, right? And we're getting to this conspiracy thing. And during this issue, JFK is assassinated, based on, you know, real life events. But you have it's comedic, right? These guys don't know why they were put together. They all have a particular skill set. They're all kind of in some way criminals. Some are more like innocent con men. Like they'll pretend they know how to play a song and they'll go set up in a bar and, you know, just sit there for hours tuning or something like that and hoping to get paid for a concert. And then some of them are just straight up bank robbers and stuff like that. Or, you know, gunmen. Not that they killed anybody, but, you know, they know how to handle a gun and stuff like that. But it's a really funny, dark comedy. Again, maybe by issue 3 I'll start giving a little bit more of what's happening in those books. But right now, I mean, it basically what's happening is, all right, there's this team of 4 strangers put together. They're tasked with doing certain things, like finding somebody who's like the same height and look as Oswald, and that's pretty much all we're given at the moment. Whether the person who put them together is from a secret organization or some other more foul, sinister thing, still kind of debatable. And it happens during, obviously, the time when JFK is assassinated. So that's what we get. At some point, I'm sure it'll all come full circle, and we'll know all the pieces, how they worked, and it'll be put together. All right, next up, we got Jeff Lemire, Andrea Sorrentino. We got Primordial. This is issue number 4. All right. And, you know, you got these animals who are sent to space, and you got these scientists back on Earth who are convinced that these animals who were thought to be dead, you know, ships disappeared, blah, 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 are still alive. These pets, these creatures, these astronauts, which happen to just be a monkey and a dog and another monkey. 2 monkeys and a dog. Three animals out there. And they got to find their way home. All right. It's kind of a homeward bound type of deal, but in space, dealing with the space race. It's interesting though. It's a really fun book. You get to see both sides. You get to see the story from the animal perspective, and you get to see it from the human scientist perspective. Okay, and there's definitely some other things going on with the human scientists too. Okay, one's a woman in Russia, and, you know, during this time, obviously not fully respected. She was just more like a caretaker for the monkey, though. For the dog, who by all accounts, you know, she was like the smartest person in the place. And then the same thing on the other side with the American scientist, who's a black man during the time, and obviously, you know, he's tasked more with like cleanup and stuff like that than actually solving problems. So a lot of stuff in that book to unpack, but I think it's a good book. It's very confusing, right? Like, it's kind of like the Hulk, especially if you can't follow everything that's happening there, right? But definitely worth a check out. All right, next up, a lot of indies this week. We got Cloak number 1. Okay, this guy kind of looks like you know, the Dark Knight, a little Batman action, maybe a little Nightwing action. I don't know which one you want to choose. So anyway, in this one, we got a detective, a PI, who is tasked with finding you know, this guy and finding out some stuff about him. He does get to find the sidekick, and we find a lot of interesting things from the sidekick. Like, some of the stuff was well, the sidekick finds out, as we know, right, Robin is yellow and bright colors, green and red and everything else, for a particular reason, right? Because it's a distraction, right? Batman got in the shadows, Robin's got to distract everybody, let Batman come in and beat him up. That's basically the gist of it. And we find out in this book that, you know, the guy figures out, you know, I was pretty much a distraction. You know, I barely knew who the cloak guy was. You know, so interesting concept. At first I was kind of like, with the writing and stuff, but it sucked me in. By the end of it, I was like, okay, we're gonna stick with this. We're gonna get to issue 2. A lot of interesting things happening there. A little shocking stuff happened in there. Probably worth a check out. All right. We're gonna go with Berserker number 6. We found out more about the Berserker. They are starting to spy on the Berserker a little bit more, send them out on missions, and you know, see how he responds to certain situations. And one person's convinced, like, oh, he's all in, he's helping us out, and then somebody's convinced on the other side that, you know, he's on the way to you know, getting himself out, and it's not invested in being part of the military and all that anymore. So very interesting, a little bit more personal. We do get action, we do get war scenes, right? We do get some flashbacks in here, but we get that with the Berserker talking about his past, which is interesting, because usually we get him talking about his past, or we get the war scenes. We don't get the mix. So we got the mix in issue 6, and it worked out really well. I thought it was really good issue. We get to learn a lot more about the Berserker, and we see that, you know, he can be personable and make friends. So Berserker number 6, really good. And then we got New Burn number 2, okay? And New Burn number 2 is a pretty good book. I like New Burn, the character himself. He doesn't really care, all right? And then I think her name's Gina. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments. think her name's Gina. He's trying to hire her to work for him. She's kind of like the foil, the anti-Newburn. She's got, the chops to talk to people. He's not really a talker, Newburn. He's also, she also can, get her to talk her way out of situations. And she's got a heart, right? She's kind of the moral compass. So Newburn is like, what happens, happens. My job is done. I walk away. I pretend I don't know anything. And she's like, what's going to happen. But anyway, comic fans, those were my pickups for the week. That was the New Comic Book Day haul and miniature review. I try not to give away too much, but I try to give you some meat of what's happening in the book, some meat and potatoes, so if you want to grab that or not. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you haven't. Hit that thumbs up. Give me a like if you haven't done that. Comment down below, and then if you choose to share this with a friend, if you think they'll like the information here, share it. I don't know, do what you want with it. All right, so do what you do, I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna get ready for next week's books. Peace. So do what you do, I'm gonna do what I do. I'm gonna get ready for next week. Let's do that again.